Greetings. Happy Valentine's Day. And what better day could there be than to have this charming young lady with us via Zoom, the one, the only Lzzy Hale from Halestorm. So, first and
Hi,
foremost,
darling.
happy Valentine's Day,
Happy,
young lady.
happy Valentine's Day to you, Nick. I can't think of a way to spend it better. Thank you so much for having me.
You are such a gracious and believable liar.
I get that
And
from
your
my mother's
nose,
side. I'm kidding.
yeah, your nose grew 3 inches as you were saying that, by the
No,
way,
you
just so you know.
you know I love you, Nick, so much. I appreciate you having me. This is awesome. I as in the world we live in, I don't get out much, so this is as close of a date today I think that I'm gonna get. So
This is kind of perfect timing because you're quite renowned with regards to love letters,
uh,
not only to a certain individual but also to your fans in general. And that's what I want to discuss with you is you have not just a respect but almost a reverence for your fan base that I don't see. That I would like to see more in artists, but I don't see it enough. I see it in Mr. Grohl, of course. May he rest in peace. I saw it in spades with Dimebag, but also people like Jim Marshall, our mutual old friend. He had complete reverence because he realized without the fans of Marshall, he wouldn't be Jim Marshall. And so, what is your rationale? And then let's talk into why you do what you do.
well, the Lizzie's love letters, it has been something I've been doing off and on for a little while now, and it really was only in the last tour that we ended up doing, our first major tour back with Evanescence, where I started doing it every night, and it became its own little monster because I basically the premise is that I write a random love letter every night. I fold it up. I have some pics in it. I sign it, usually have some kind of lipstick stain on there just for good measure. And then my amazing bass player, Josh, ended up getting me some sealing wax and a actual stamp, like just with my signature and some kisses and hugs and all that. So I'm sealing it with wax now. So it makes me feel very Ronnie James
Wow.
Dio because it's like, here's my scroll.
Right.
But it was just something that I wanted to do almost out of selfish reasons because I'd throw this random letter out into the crowd, and I have a hashtag for it, Lizzie's love letters, and so I would basically stalk that hashtag just to see who got it, and then it's amazing because in turn now, like I said, it's become its own monster because then at the end of the set now, every show I just get pelted with love letters in return from all of our fans in the front row, and it's just so amazing. I honestly, I think it's just one of those things that, and it's a very, very small thing to do, but it's just one more effort to put out some type of love positivity. I mean, as we talk about this all the time, you and me, Nick, but there's so much hate for hate's sake, and this world can be really really rough. So if I'm going to do anything, let me try to promote that positivity. That's all it is. You're throwing some love out there, and it's been amazing because you can do anything with these love letters. Sometimes it's just basically thank you so much for being here and you are loved, you are seen. I don't know who you are, but we really appreciate you being here. And then sometimes I'll sneak some new lyrics in there, just some poetry, and just make it individual for whoever gets it. And I know that if I was in the audience for my favorite band and I caught something random like that, it would be something that I keep forever. So, like I said, it's just a wonderful little project, and again, I'm very proud that it has a mind of its own, and I've in turn gotten so many amazing letters from our fans just with their stories, and I've gotten that for years, but now this kind of gives them, I guess, an outlet and a reason to do so. So. Yeah, I've just got to
No, it's
dodging the letters every night.
no. I love the fact you said that if you were in the audience, you would love it if that happened to you. And I remember asking Dime why he did some. He signed for 3 hours when he was really ill. I said, "Look, let me tell him you're sick," and he went, "No." And he stood in a car parking lot in the freezing cold and signed for 3 hours. And I asked him afterwards, "Why did you do that?" He said, "Well, I flipped the roles. If I was them and they were me, what would I like to happen? And that's what I do. And that's clearly what you do. So God bless you for that."
Oh, absolutely. And that's it's so important to remember, this music thing that we do, it's bigger than me and it's bigger than everybody in the audience. We are forever connected because of that. And I it it hurts me when I see certain rock stars that completely lose sight of that and think that it's all about them, because it's not. You wouldn't be here without the fans or without the music, so you have to respect both.
And the cool thing is, like, a lot of people talk it, but very few walk it, and you're walking it. The fact these things are personal, and I love this. I didn't know about the wax seal. That's, like you said, very Dio, very Robin Hood, Sherwood Forest kind of stuff. It's great. So maybe you should have your band be Men in Tights or something.
Oh, they've threatened that many times. Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
It may still
Especially your
happen.
brother drummer, yeah, on an hourly basis. But the thing I love about you too is that you play it forward very positively on the dreaded social medias, which are the ultimate platform, sadly, for hate for the sake of hate and dislike for the sake of dislike, often on behalf of someone else who might be upset. And I find that really annoying. But only last Wednesday you typed this on your Twitter. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Midweek check-in. Please let me know please know you are seen, you have a voice, and you are loved. Which is a wonderful thing to post, but a lot of people do that via a third party. They go, this would be cool if you put this on the channel. But then people reply, and then they get a reply from you. And that's the difference. There's a connection there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a couple different categories, and I think the bottom line is that you have to want to engage. I genuinely love engaging with our fans. It has not, I know that it's helped other people because I've, because I do it, but they've in turn helped me so much. Vice versa. If I'm having a bad day, these people will make me laugh. They'll lift me up. We have amazing conversations, and it's not just the love letters. You do little projects because it's fun. I do a Lzzy's Picks Around the World pick hunt every single night. I'll hide about 6 or 7 picks around the venue, and then I'll take pictures with hints, and I'll put them up in my stories on Instagram. It's like, go get them, Tigers, and it's just become such a fun thing to do, for the fans. That actually started very early on in Halestorm, before we were signed or anything. When I was first making up my guitar picks, I would hide them in random spots, like at Walmart in the shoes or something, or like underneath the lip of a cereal box, which in hindsight is probably not the best thing because there is a choking hazard there. But and then I would. It's so funny because it only like worked once or twice back in the day, whereas all of a sudden somebody would be on our website message board, if you can remember when message boards were a thing, be like, I bought some tennis shoes and I found your guitar pick and I looked up your band, you guys are really good. I'm like, see, it worked, just like guerrilla marketing. But now, now it's not necessarily to promote anything, it's just something fun for the fans to collect them all.
Engagement, what a concept.
Yeah, it's just little things like that. Or sometimes I'll do like a Q&A, they ask Lzzy anything. Sometimes I'll flip it around and say, our fans have dubbed themselves freaks, and I'll say, ask freaks anything. The other day I was just like, what's your favorite sandwich? I don't know. Some of that is fun, and it's good distraction too, because people can get very consumed on social media and it can get really dark. But I mean, like we were saying before, and even like random stuff like, oh, what's your favorite horror film or guilty pleasures? Beyond all of that, like what you said before, I think the authenticity comes from when it goes beyond those little games or those little projects, when you're just kind of on and I always tell young fans, it's so important to go on as myself and just thank somebody that's just randomly tweeting at you, and says, hey, like, I love your music. Well, thank you so much. Or if somebody's having a bad day and you feel like you can handle that in yourself, to reply and maybe give them some type of encouragement or positivity, or, hey, maybe I'm feeling weird. I'm like, well, I'm weird too. And it's like, and then I don't know, it just, I know what that does just from a person to a person. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a rock star and they follow me. It has to do with that human connection and knowing that, like you were saying before, that they are seen, that they are loved, and because they are. And a lot of people forget that they're not the only one going through whatever they're going through, because you can feel very isolated and like it's only you. So it's a beautiful thing to be a part of, and our fan base is the best at that. I do stalk everybody. Even if I'm not replying, just know I'm watching. I'm always watching. And it's just wonderful to go in at any random point and somebody is either saying, hey, like I'm having a really dark time, and everybody will pounce on them, be like, oh, DM me. Hey, it's not, it's not just you. Hey, let's talk it out. You can get through this, all of that. It's just such a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I'm just the host of the party. They did that all themselves. So
No, it is, because I remember reading an interview back in 2019, and there was a comment about parents writing to you, thanking you for your stance on certain things which other people won't talk about, and helping their kids out of depression. That must be, I can't imagine how good that must feel.
Oh, absolutely. Especially considering that, I am a tad dangerous, and or I guess I shouldn't say that anymore. But when I first started talking about sex in my songs, or you're swearing in your whatever, I remember early on being like, oh man, I'm gonna get like hate mail from parents, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Even with the sexual empowerment songs, I get dads coming up to me in meet and greets and just saying, I hope that when my daughters are your age, they can sit in a position of power in their sexuality and not feel oppressed by whoever they are. And that was just so, it's just so amazing to me to hear that from them. And you see a lot of parents bringing their young kids to the shows, and buying them guitars and all of that. It's a beautiful thing.
Because the other thing then this segues nicely into the new album, because you've already released, well, it comes out in May 2022, obviously, but you've already released 2 songs. Last year you released the title track, which has had an amazing impact on people. The Back from the Dead. I like the fact you didn't put Back from the Dead Alive is the hook. The hook to me is the alive part, but it's got millions of views already. But the thing that really struck me was when I was reading the comments, some of the positivity that song's lyrics. So your love letters are in part in your songs, in my opinion, because some of them are touching, some of them are deeply moving. Actually, there was one from a young girl who had some sort of very rare blood disease. So every time she had an infusion, that became her anthem.
Oh,
And that's huge. That's the power of music and the power of the positive message within your lyrics. And the same is true of The Steeple, which just came out as we're speaking here. That's got the same thing. People saying, I love Halestorm, you've helped me out of depression.
Oh, well, that's amazing to hear, and I do hear a lot of those stories all the time, and it blows my mind because Nick, I've been in this band since I was 13, and if you had told me that I'd have a platform to just put some positivity out in the world and people would actually be listening and engaging, and you're either saving somebody's day or saving somebody's life, I wouldn't have believed you. I'd be like, yeah, whatever, Nick. So it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. I think that something that has been near and dear to my heart, and something that I like writing about, and again, I write all of these things selfishly because I need to write them, because it's not about painting the world like it's all sunshine and rainbows. Life is hard, but there is always some kind of hope. And I always go back to, I think it was Tom Hanks or somebody in some interview was talking about this, how his mantra is always, this too shall pass. You having a good day? It's going to pass. You're having a bad day, it's going to pass, but nothing is ever permanent. And I need to remind myself of that a lot. And when writing Back from the Dead, I wanted to write a song that I would want to just scream at the top of my lungs if we ever got back to live shows again and I step out on that stage. What is the first thing that I want to say? Yes, it was hard getting through all of this. It was a roller coaster ride personally to get on the other side of all of this and get back to my happy place, but I did it. And if I can, so can you. And so there's like exactly what you said. That's the power of music, and the fact that somebody can see themselves in these songs and make it their anthem and change the course of their life just ever so slightly so they can get through something is wonderful.
Yeah, and the fact that shortly after this interview, you're heading over to my homeland, you're going to tour the UK and Ireland, which is fantastic. Then you've got select US dates and hopefully lots more to come once the album comes out. So looking at the glass as half full as opposed to half empty, one of the positives I can say definitely about COVID is that situation that we're still not out of yet inspired you to write an anthem which is helping people through it. And I think that's huge personally. That's a positive out of making lemonade out of one of the biggest global lemons of all time.
The biggest global lemon of all time. I love that. It's
Well, one of them.
Or yeah, one of the biggest global lemons. We're not out of the woods yet, Nick. But yeah, no, it's great, man. And I will say that as a silver lining. The other thing that happened beyond the writing of this album, which again comes out May 6th, and you know we've talked about how I feel like a lot of people are going to see themselves in it because I needed to write this album in order to get to the other side, and so there is this myriad of subjects. You know, we're talking about depression and how to get through that. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about debauchery. We're talking about all of the different flavors, and
Right.
and colors and the entire spectrum of what us personally as a band, me personally as a person went through when all of a sudden life stopped and the thing that you love most to do in your life is stolen from you, and so by writing from a personal standpoint, what I realize is that the more and more that I just write from that perspective and not try to put words in anybody else's mouth, the more people end up relating to it, because something that I think that, especially on this Valentine's Day where self-love is the best love, you have to understand that if you are going through something, there are millions and millions of other people going through it, and I hope that everybody knows that, even though it's hard to look outside of your little rabbit hole that you're spiraling out in, but you're absolutely not alone.
Yeah, I think what helps too from a personal point of view is one of the things I loved, and I'm going to read you to you because it had a tremendous impact on me, is the fact that when someone in your position, a quote unquote rock star who has it all, feels the same, gets in the same rabbit hole as mere mortals or whatever, then I don't think anyone's a mere mortal. I think we're all special. Let me clarify that. Apart from me, I'm just a blob. But this is what you said, and I think this resonates, and I think and there's truth in it that's reflected in your lyrics. He says very obsequiously, but I'm speaking the truth. You said this: once we went into lockdown, we were unable to perform and tour, I fell into a dark place and something of an identity crisis. This album is a story of me carving myself out of that abyss. It is a journey of navigating mental health, debauchery, survival, redemption, rediscovery, and still maintaining faith in humanity. That is really powerful. That is really powerful because you can tell it came from there, and the fact you're throwing out letters and also responding to people on social media. And the other thing I want to very quickly say is one of the most moving things I've ever seen in my long, colourful, storied history in this industry was going back before before the lemon dropped on the world. There was some big rock festival, I can't remember what it was, but you were doing a signing for Marshall, and the organizer had a group of 30 young girls from the ages of 12 through 18. I think there were 30 of them who were coming in. They were doing a rock camp thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, could you see if Lzzy could come 5 minutes early to talk to these girls, if she wouldn't mind? And I knew what your answer was, so I called you and then went back to him and said, hey, I spoke to Lzzy. The bad news is this: she can't give them 5 minutes. She'll give them half an hour. Yeah. And that's exactly what you did. You turned up half an hour early on a really busy press day, and you lifted these girls. In fact, you lifted everyone who was there by your positivity. And hey, you don't have to be on the stage to be in this industry. You can be doing this. You can be doing that. You can do that. We're all girls in this together. It's like my tour there are tour managers out here. Like Slayer's tour manager at the time was a female, and you gave these girls, I watched them walk out with a spring in their step, and you were there in person. You weren't just typing with your thumbs. You took the time out of your busy day. And it wasn't just the girls you made a difference to. Everyone who was there, like I said, including myself, I left there with a spring in my step, because it's like, yeah, Lzzy can do it, I can do it. And that's your biggest gift, I think, apart from that ridiculous voice you have.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you so much. And that was really enjoyable for me too, because I remember what it was like. You know, I mean, when we first started this band, I knew nothing. Nobody had any connection to the music business. I didn't have an uncle in the industry. I didn't even really know what roadies did. You know, it's like there was all these. Everything was so new, and I had so many questions. And I remember the few people that took their time for me when I was, 13, 14, 15, trying to figure it out. It made me feel so good. And also, if we're talking about passing the torch, our foremothers, that came before us, the great Ann Wilson and Joan Jett and Pat Benatar, and I've gotten to Lita Ford. I've gotten to talk to so many of these women, Susie Quattro, for heaven's sake. Over the years, I've gotten to meet them, and I always say the same thing. I'm like, thank you so much for not giving up, because if that had been your narrative, then that would have been mine. But because these young girls can see people like them, people like me that are out doing it, being proud of it, even when faced with adversity, even when it seems like it's too much, even when it seems like it's too hard. By seeing that, it just makes that bridge to whatever their dream might be just a little shorter, and that can be really powerful. And that's why I do enjoy talking about being a female in the industry, and what an amazing wave we're on right now as far as female in the industry. I mean, I remember when not only was I the only girl on stage, I was the only girl backstage on tour at all. And it's just so amazing to see, like what you said, there's female lighting directors and tour managers and sound engineers. And it's just roadies. It's amazing. Lighting technicians. It's amazing to see all of this happening, and as well as this huge surge of female fronted and all female bands that are just flooding the festival circuit over the past couple years, and even now more than ever. So it's important for all of us to be supportive of each other.
I couldn't even say that. I was going to say I couldn't say that better myself. I couldn't say that, period. So thank you for that. What I'd like to close with, if you wouldn't mind, apart from saying Happy Valentine's Day, and we got this specially for you. This will be in the mail.
You are so sweet. Thank you.
Now, I've committed now, so Sweetwater has to send this whether they like it or not, and they will like it because you've taken your time out of the busy day. To close on this Valentine's Day, what would be your message what would be your advice, your inspirational? Give us another gem like you haven't given us enough already.
For Valentine's Day, I think that it's important to know that it's very important to love yourself first before you empty your cup for somebody else. I know a lot of people that do that. I know that I'm definitely a people pleaser, and I've had to learn to do that myself. You have to put yourself first, love yourself, love everything about you. Make sure that you own your weird, make it your superpower. Don't worry if you don't fit into a box that you weren't made to. And then from there, put out that love, put it out to people, even if you're, I'm not just talking about relationships. Obviously, if you're in a relationship, be the best partner that you can, be the best supportive person that you can to your partner. But beyond that, if you're randomly walking around an airport and you really like somebody's shoes, tell them that, make somebody's day. It's nothing for you to do that. It's not that big of an effort. It's kind of like with myself, you can give a guitar pick to somebody and it makes their world. It's just a piece of plastic. It doesn't matter, but to them it does. And so I'd like to encourage everybody on this Valentine's Day, whether you're doing the traditional thing or you're going rogue, make sure you tell somebody random that you don't know that they are absolutely loved, or that they are awesome, or that you like their hair, because it does make a big difference individually. And I told myself a long time ago, probably around 17, that if I ever got in the position where people were listening, for better or worse, by the way, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, please advise, that I was going to spend time making sure that you put that love out into the world, because the world needs it.
Wow. What a great way to close this. And I loved the phrase of the day, embrace your weird.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And Love Yourself, what a concept. Lzzy, I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to hear the rest of the album because the first two songs are stunning,
I can't wait for you
musically,
to hear it.
vocally, and message-wise. This is my church, you are my people. That you is huge, by the way, in my opinion. So thanks so much for taking the time. Joe, thanks for filming. Send us a great picture.
Good to see you, buddy.
Likewise, my friend, and congratulations on a great tone on that record, by the way. The two songs I've heard, it's crushingly good.
Thanks, man.
And I'd like to do an interview later on, once the record's out, about how you got those tones, because
Yeah, let's do it.
people like me want to steal that stuff. So,
Steal away.
so what I'll do is I'm going to send each one of you one of these. You can fight over who gets the red or the white hat, but happy Valentine's Day, guys. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Hi.
Thank you so much, bud.
And I will see you hopefully on the road very, very shortly. So happy Valentine's Day, like I said, and thank you so much for doing what you do, and embrace your weird, because you do it well.
Love you, Nick.
Cheers, man.
Love you too. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.